Now broadcasting from his hidden bunker and fully stocked bar, it is the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor.
Thank you and welcome once again, my friends, to the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor, adventurer, entrepreneur, and amateur romantic. Wink. And welcome to AWSM Radio, an independent digital-only radio station that plays today's best music, old school classics, along with a rotating cast of all-star DJs. AWSM Radio focuses on mainstream artists, independent artists, along with a variety of interesting talk and music shows throughout the day, such as mine. And all we do here is entertain, inspire, and inform. And my friends, I want to engage with you, so be sure to follow me on the Twitter, on the Instagram, and on the Rizzle at Colt S. Taylor. And of course, if you haven't already, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com to see what I am up to week in and week out. So, all right, friends, turn the lights down low, draw the shades, pour yourself a lovely Cabernet, because this is a special Valentine's Eve edition of the Saturday Report with me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. So, let's get started. And you're probably asking yourself, what makes this a special Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor being Valentine's Eve? Are there themed stories? No, not really. I just want to talk in a flirty voice at the beginning there. That's the extent of this Valentine's Day special. But our first story does deal with love. Love in strange places. Love in a zoo. Love between polar bears. And murder. Unfortunately, at the Detroit Zoo, they have polar bears there, as many zoos do. I've seen polar bears. They're, behind some thick glass, but they're in various zoos. And they tried to have a pair of polar bears mate. Unfortunately, Nuka, the male polar bear, killed his mate, Anya, this week after a breeding attempt. They had been apart for several months. Zoo officials were devastated. Really nothing they could really do about it once they started to get at it and things started to turn south. Carnivores, such as polar bears, when they do mate, it's often a very aggressive mating, so to speak. And this one apparently got a wee bit out of hand, and unfortunately, the female polar bear died. And the zoo officials are very confused about this because these two polar bears had lived together for quite a long time, had been separated for months for various reasons, and had recently been put back together, but this mating attempt was a failure, I guess you could say. So, no word yet what they're going to do with Nuka. I mean, I can't see them putting that bear down. The bear's just being a bear. These things happen in the wild sometimes, I guess. But they are reviewing the procedures to see if they could do anything differently next time. As you imagine, getting polar bears in captivity is not an easy thing to do. They have a sort of a breeding program between the zoos, so they bred in captivity and whatnot. So, losing a bear like this is a little rough towards their sort of conservation efforts, so to speak. But, it's a love story gone wrong to start off this Saturday Report. I like to start off on a high note. But, that happened. And then, from what I understand, breeding animals in captivity is a wee bit tricky. You just can't put two animals in an enclosed space, place them very white, and hope for the best. There's a lot that goes into it, but this time was not very successful. Moving along, friends, to entertainment news. Remakes. Yes. No, I'm not talking about 2021 being a remake of 2020, although so far, oof, right? But The Wizard of Oz is in the works, a remake of that 1939 classic with Judy Garland. It's being directed by Nicole Castle, who did some work on The Watchmen on HBO, which she got an award for. It was a very great series, based off of the adaptation of L. Frank Baum's beloved The Wizard of Oz collection. Actually, there's several books in there and a lot of source material. They plan on taking a fresh take on Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. As you may know, the original movie was in 1939 with Judy Garland, and then they did a sequel to it in 1982, which I believe, or 1985, which I believe is amongst the longest amount of time between a first movie and a second movie being a sequel. And if you've seen the 1985 Return to Oz sequel, ooh, it's weird. It's so weird. It's not a great movie. I think you got like a 50% fresh rating, a 6 out of 10. I mean, it's good for the time, but it is a weird movie. Weird indeed. Stars a few people stars a few people who went on to have bigger careers, but weird movie. But anyways, they're going to be rebooting it, remaking it. No word yet on who is going to be starring in it and whatnot. I also have heard that they're talking about doing a remake of the Wiz, which originally had Michael Jackson in it, way also back in the 80s. So a lot of Wizard of Oz related things popped up this week. There actually was also another recent Wizard of Oz movie just called Oz, which was sort of a prequel talking about the Wicked Witch of the West and East and the wizard and how he became the wizard down there in Oz, which I saw. I enjoyed it. I'm a Mila Kunis fan, and but this movie is in the works. I'll pay attention. I'll probably go see it. Obviously, depends who is in it. I feel like Hugh Jackman might pop up in this movie. He seems like he's a very talented musical person. I feel like Hugh Jackman would either be, actually, he could be the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, or the Cowardly Lion. He could really be any of those people. I could see him doing an amazing job. The guy is talented. What can I say? Keeping with entertainment news, Alex Trebek, the late, great Alex Trebek, passed away last November at the age of 80 after battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Sadly, among his last shows have already aired, and he has a variety of guest hosts have appeared. Future guest hosts include Savannah Guthrie, Anderson Cooper, a fan of mine, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, Dr. Oz from the Dr. Oz show, Ken Jennings hosted a bit as well. They haven't really settled on a new host yet. I feel like Anderson Cooper would be very good at that. I think I'm a big Cooper fan. But anyways, not talking about any of them. Alex Trebek's family is donating his extensive wardrobe. He was well known for his suits to charity to help raise money for a special charity and whatnot. He has quite a few suits and sweaters over the years. He was on TV for many decades, and obviously didn't keep everything, but he kept a lot, and now he is donating these suits for the Doe Fund. DOE helps people get back on their feet, so to speak. It's a nonprofit organization. They're working to break the cycle of incarceration, homelessness, and addiction by providing vocational training, employment, and more. His son, Matthew Trebek, suggested this donation, and hopefully he'll raise a lot of money and help this nonprofit. So Alex Trebek's still doing good, and even after he has passed away, using his extensive wardrobe to help raise money for the Doe Fund. You should check them out if you want to make your own donation. These sort of organizations are, they always need money. They always need money because they always could do more. And I'm glad I wanted to share this story with you because I was a big Alex Trebek fan. In fact, not to toot my own horn, but toot. But I do know somebody who was actually on Jeopardy and won 2 nights in a row. It was incredible. He had to keep the secret. For like a few months. He wouldn't tell us how he did out there because they record a few shows a day. They're supposed to bring 10 changes of clothes. They film 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's unlikely you're going to win so many times in a row, although it does happen sometimes. And this, my friend, won two times in a row. So a special shout out to my pal, Brandon Libby, out there in New Jersey, a 2-time Jeopardy champ which is 2 more times than I could say, and I would imagine many of you as well. But anyways, Alex Trebek donating, his family donating his sushi to charity to the Doe Fund. Check it out. A great story I wanted to bring to you this fine Saturday morning. Moving along, folks, to crime and courts and Zoom. If you haven't, look it up. It's hilarious. But recently, there was a Zoom broadcast meeting between a judge and 2 lawyers for a court case. There was a judge, there was a lawyer, and there was a cat. One of the lawyers had a kitten filter on the Zoom. So there was these 2 older gentlemen looking confused while this sad cat, whose eyes, I guess, were mimicking the eyes of the lawyer. A cat was talking to the judge and the lawyer. And the judge says, "Oh, hey, I think you have a cat filter on." And you see the sad cat going, "Yeah, I've got my assistant's trying to figure out how to turn it off. I'm not a cat. I am here live. I'm a live person," like assuring them that he's not actually a cat. And it was hilarious and whatnot. Now, there's further stories that this lawyer is a little bit underhanded and whatnot. I'm not talking about that. But what I found to be interesting is when this happened, everyone thought it was funny. But when they went through Zoom, there is no cat filter in Zoom. And so people are like, wow, how did this happen? Well, it took a few days, but they tracked it down. And like, this is what's the most funniest thing to me. The cat filter that this person had on his face is based off an outdated Dell webcam from like 2012. So Dell put out a webcam in 2012. They had this sort of like, look what we can do. It's not a very good filter. It looks very dated. It's just the cat doesn't move. It's just the eyes and the mouth, unlike the kind of filters you have today. So this old camera with this old software was feeding into Zoom, giving this guy the cat face and whatnot. It is pretty it's pretty amazing. Like, I believe it's a decade old. It's about a decade old software, a decade old webcam, and it only took about a minute for them to figure out how to turn it off, but it was a long minute. But it just blew my mind that like everyone wanted this cat filter, and when they got to Zoom, no one could find out like where is this cat filter. So it took some investigation. There was an old blog post where someone wrote about this old software causing problems because you couldn't figure out how to turn it off. And finally, they tracked it down to be this Dell camera. So, anyways, the lawyer usually doesn't Zoom from this computer, but he was, his computer wasn't working properly or something, so he's going to his assistant's computer, who does not Zoom and whatnot. The computer is about 10 years old, things works like a workhorse, and doesn't use the web camera, and so this was sort of stuck on the default, it's sort of the default filter for him. So, I thought it was just amazing that people got very obsessed of like, where did this cat filter come from? And they were able to track it down. This old piece of technology, this old software made a decade ago before, Zoom was Zoom, and caused a viral video a decade later. And, I like to think that whoever designed that cat filter, he's old, he or she is old, retired, has some glasses on, pops up from the iPad, looks at the news, and like, that's my work. Pours himself a nice glass of wine, turns off the light, and just enjoys the rest of the evening knowing that they did something good in this world. They made a cat filter that got stuck on a lawyer that made a viral video. Next up, folks, some royal news. Yes, I know the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor is your source for all things royal. No, I'm not talking about Prince William. No, I'm not talking about Prince Harry. They get all the press, although they are redheads, which I do appreciate. No, I find royal families to be interesting. I take an interest in it. So, there's more than just the royal family of the United Kingdom, folks, especially in Europe. You got the Spanish royal family, Norwegian, Swedish, Belgium, Luxembourg, Liechtenstein. What else? There's lots of exiled royals as well. Japan has a royal family. There's several royal families in the Middle East and North Africa. But anyways, I'm talking about the Spanish royal family. Yes, indeed. The heiress to the Spanish throne, Princess Leonor. I don't know Spanish princesses' names. Is studying in Wales. She's 15 years old and the heir to the Spanish throne, and she'll be going to Wales for her more formal studies. She applied anonymously, so for those who did not make a special school in Wales, don't think that she pulled any strings. But she will be studying there. Now, I find the Spanish royal family to be interesting because it's one of the few stories where a royal family was restored and it stuck. So for those who want a history lesson, back in the 30s, there was a Spanish Civil War, and at the end of the day, the royalists lost, and Francisco Franco, besties with Mussolini and a few folks of that neighborhood, became the dictator of Spain. Well, fast forward to the late 70s, Francisco Franco, very right-wing, getting old, he decides that he's going to pass on his leadership of the country to the royal family, to restore the royal family, because he thought the heir to the throne was in line with him, that they would continue his policies. He did it, but he just played the game very well to get on Francisco Franco's good side. And in 1981, the royal family of Spain was reestablished. There was a king once again, established a new constitution that over the years has become more liberal and sort of undone a lot of the things that Francisco Franco did during his 40-year rule of Spain. Anyways, but I bring this up because the princess here, being the heir to the throne, is going to be the first, eventually, queen of Spain. In over, I believe, 150-some years. The last queen of Spain was Isabella II, and she ruled from 1833 to 1868 until she was deposed in a revolution. And since then, there have been a few different kings. There was a Spanish Republic in 1873, and then another series of Spanish kings. Then the Spanish Republic of Spanish Republic in 1931 got deposed again, the Francisco Franco, and then back in 1975, the House Bourbon, where Juan Carlos I became king once again, and I believe he abdicated, and now Felipe VI is now the current king of Spain. So, I just find that to be very interesting. I love family trees and whatnot, so it's a very interesting sort of history of Spain in terms of royal families and whatnot. And a lot of places, once they boot the royal family, generally speaking, they ain't coming back. See Italy, Austria, Hungary, Romania, Yugoslavia, Greece, Turkey. They never came back. Spain did. So I thought it'd be interesting. Just want to bring that to you. Some royal news, and I assure you, my friends, I will not be covering this too terribly closely. I like following the royal family. I'm not obsessed with the royal family like some people are. Now, what I am obsessed with, my friends, is good music. What kind of music? Good in-house DJ music. And the only place, the only sort of thing that crosses my mind as being the place to go for good music is my pal, DC. It just so happens, never planned this out whatsoever, just so happens he's on AWSM Radio, DC live in effect. He is our in-house DJ, and he mixes it up every Friday night at 9 p.m. and every Sunday night at 10 p.m. And my friends, you do not want to miss out while he's smashing it on the ones and twos from his royal bunker somewhere in South Florida this week. I call him King DC privately because he's the king. here on AWSM Radio in terms of the kind of music he puts out. So, my friends, set your calendar, mark your chalkboard, whatever, and do not miss this great show on AWSM Radio. DC, live in effect, Fridays at 9, Sundays at 10, right here on AWSM Radio. From the hustle of my good friend DC to the owner of Hustler, Larry Flynt, passed away this week at the age of 78. He was the owner of Hustler, a magazine he founded in 1974. For over 50 years, it was one of the biggest names in the adult entertainment industry. It was, I would say, perhaps at the time, a little bit less classy than the Penthouse or the Playboy, so to speak, but were very popular, brought him fame and fortune, as well as a whole lot of legal issues, especially in the South. They had some, they had laws about pornography and whatnot, which he pushed for First Amendment rights. They did a film about him called The People versus Larry Flynt. Woody Harrelson was in it, and actually Larry Flynt played a judge in that movie, cameoing himself. Now, he was, however, paralyzed. Since 1978, in a murder attempt, he was shot by a serial killer named Joseph Paul Franklin, left him paralyzed from the waist down, but he continued to produce his adult entertainment work, so to speak. Had a golden wheelchair, often offered up bounties for incriminating information about politicians. When Bill Clinton was going through his impeachment trial, he offered $1 million to provide proof of other transgressions from other politicians to publish in his quote-unquote Flint report. But he even also dabbled in politics, briefly ran for president in 1984, and ran for governor in the 2003 recall election, ultimately won by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Obviously did not become president. But he passed away. Had a few years of health issues, passed away due to heart issues, so to speak, a heart failure. And he was 78, like I said, you may not subscribe to the world of adult entertainment, but the guy made his money, and the guy certainly had a brand and whatnot. But he is passed away this week at the age of 78. Speaking of those who have passed away this week, Christopher Plummer, unfortunately, has passed away at the age of 91. Best known for his role in The Sound of Music as Von Trapp, the head of the Von Trapp family. He had an amazingly extensive film and television career, like a ridiculous amount of movies spanning nearly 5 or 6 decades. His first film was in 1958. He has a posthumous film coming out here in 2021 where he does animated voice. One of his last movies was in Knives Out, which was I really enjoyed that movie. He played, just watch it. It's really good. He also stepped into the role in All the Money in the World as J. Paul Getty when Kevin Spacey ran into his troubles and they pulled him out of the movie. And then Christopher Plummer came in and they refilmed all the scenes with him and the other actors and actresses and were able to patch together the film and release it without having to shelve it. But he passed away at the age of 91, according to news reports. He passed away after having a bad fall and had a blow to the head. But lived a nice, amazingly long life. Had amazing actor. Did amazing jobs. Like I said, Knives Out. In 2019, he had Cliffs of Freedom, Knives Out, and The Last Full Measure. I believe all 3 movies are very, very good, but I saw Knives Out, and it was a good movie. He has a minor role in it, but it's an important minor role. He was also in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, National Treasure, Dracula 2000. Not all of them were great, but he did a lot. He was a prolific actor. Also, I almost forgot, he is also in one of my favorite Star Trek movies. In 1991, General Chang. He was a Klingon who quoted Shakespeare. Yes, I'm a nerd. Get over it. And it's one of the great all-time villains for Captain Kirk. I liked General Chang, and he not only did he portray him in movies, but in the mid 90s there were computer games like Klingon Academy. He reprised the role to be in the video games to provide live video in a video game as a Klingon in full makeup. It's pretty amazing stuff. Big Christopher Plummer fan. Christopher Plummer fan, but also sad to see that he had passed away this week. But again, friends, 91. If we could all be so lucky, right? Moving along and keeping with our Valentine's Day theme. Oh, hi. Is that wine halfway done yet? All right, pour yourself another glass, because let's talk about dating and the stock market. Bumble, which is a popular dating app, went public this week, and its stock skyrocketed 70% from its initial public offering of $43 and went to almost $73. The company raked in $2.2 billion, which is pretty amazing. The app Bumble is different than other apps like the OkCupid or the Tinder, where women have to make the first move. So you can like whoever you want, but you will not get messages. You, as a fella, you can't message folks. You have to wait till ladies message you. Also, defining it differently from other dating apps, it has the dating section for those who want to get intimate, a networking section for those who are looking to network amongst colleagues in business and whatnot, and a BBF section for those who just want a lovely, goofy, lovable redhead best friend with a pith helmet. I'm not saying I'm on Bumble, but hey, I could use a few new friends or whatnot. But anyways, pretty amazing stuff there. They also have Badoo. It's another dating app that's very popular in Europe. But dating apps, big money in dating apps, technology to get people together. Now, all of these apps have a free section. And then there's a subscription aspect that gives you more access to the rest of the system. See who likes you, I guess, and whatnot. Things like that. I wouldn't really know. I don't like to spend money on that sort of things. But it's a business. It's a business for sure. So anyways, friends, if you are starting your own dating app, maybe like a pith-helmeted adventurer dating app where you need a redhead face of the company, I'm available. Or if Bumble wants to spend some of that $2.2 billion on advertising here on the Saturday Report with Colt Sebastian Taylor, I am also available. Listen, I'm just available. That's all I'm saying. All right, moving along. From Love and Romance to Love and Romance and Reboot, True Lies, which is a fun movie from 1994 with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tia Carrera, and a very young Eliza Dushku, is getting rebooted on CBS. They want to do a series out of it. James Cameron is on board with this, and Burn Notice writer Matt Nix is joining the team in handling scripts, which is now in development. If you haven't seen True Lies, you're missing out on a classic mid-1990s Arnold Schwarzenegger, just classic, and Jamie Lee Curtis is really good. Oh, I totally forgot. Tom Arnold and Bill Paxton are also in that movie, which the late great Bill Paxton, and Tom Arnold is basically Tom Arnold, but it's a really good movie. But the plot of the movie is Arnold Schwarzenegger is just this mannered father, husband, looks like a bodybuilder, and he's actually a spy. So he goes to work and he's actually a spy and whatnot, and his wife doesn't know, his daughter doesn't know. And eventually, they find out, they get wrapped up in this international crime syndicate and whatnot involving nuclear weapons. And from 1994, it checks all the boxes off of the 90s, what people were worrying about in the 90s and whatnot. And it's a very good movie. And like I said, Jamie Lee Curtis is really good at that movie. I'm not going to give any plot details. You should really just watch it. Anyways, they plan to reboot it on CBS, make a series out of it, kind of following the same plot where the I don't know whether they'll take a different take where like the wife will be the true lies or the husband will be the true lies, be the spy and whatnot. But be on CBS, and I will probably see it. I want to see who they have in it, obviously, but I liked the movie and I liked Burn Notice. So movie, writer from a show I liked. I think there's a good chance this could be a very good show. I'll be keeping tabs on it, and once it comes out, I will have a follow-up story about True Lies on TV. Keeping with entertainment news, HBO has ordered an adaptation of the very popular PlayStation video game, The Last of Us. The Last of Us takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where a disease has ravaged the land around us and infected the majority of the population, turning them into mindless sort of zombies. Unlike other sort of zombie-esque movies, the disease in here are like spores. It's like a plant-based spore disease that you get infected, and then you develop these sort of crusts over your face and whatnot. It's a very scary game, and the gameplay is pretty amazing. But I'm not doing a video game review. I'm talking about this HBO series because they have casted Pedro Pascal of the Mandalorian fame, also is in Wonder Woman 1984, as the male lead, which is it's about this guy who's lost his family, then comes across this girl who, spoiler alert, has an immunity against the disease and helps protect her from other people and whatnot. They kind of develop sort of a family bond between each other. But she is being played by Bella Ramsey. Now, you know who Pedro Pascal is, the Mandalorian, and also he was also in Game of Thrones. Bella Ramsey was also on Game of Thrones, playing Lyanna Mormont. If you remember Game of Thrones, she was the sort of tiny, vicious, glaring young lady who was in charge of the Mormont clan and whatnot. Died, spoiler alert, killing a giant. She was an amazing actress on there. Had a big following. Sort of this tiny but also vicious person who made people sort of sit down when she yelled at them. So these two from Game of Thrones fame are now going to be working together on this new HBO Last of Us series. The two of them actually never shared a scene together. Pedro's character died in a season before she showed up and whatnot, but sort of some Game of Thrones reunion between these two. They're both older. Pedro Pascal and The Mandalorian, really, really good. Really enjoyed it. I liked her in Game of Thrones, so I like zombie flicks. I'm going to check this out too. I think you should too. The Last of Us, coming soon to HBO, and should be good. Also, it is going to be written by Craig Mazin, who did the Chernobyl series, which, again, an amazing series talking about the Chernobyl disaster in the 80s in the Ukraine. And so I have good actors, good actresses, good writing. I think it's going to be really good. And also, love the zombie stuff too, so I'll watch it. Moving along to heroin. There was a $12 million bust of heroin recently in New York City, with heroin strewn apart a queen's bedroom. They found it worth $12 million, $200,000 in cash, 1,000 fentanyl pills, basically 86 pounds of heroin they found. This is one of the biggest busts they've made. To quote Special Agent in charge of New York, "This takedown will have a devastating effect on this high-level opiate operation throughout the tri-state area." So, they bust heroin dealers all the time. This was a lot of heroin. You usually don't have pounds and pounds strewn apart a apartment like it was Christmas morning and whatnot. But they got 4 people in custody, took down this heroin trafficking operation. Pretty amazing stuff, and that's a lot of heroin. That is a lot of heroin. Holy moly. So I've seen pictures of it, and it's just like how your kitchen table is messy, you got a lot of stuff all over your kitchen table and whatnot. These guys have tables just full of packets of heroin. It looks like they're just putting together Christmas cards, but they're putting together these heroin packets, and it's a mess. It's a big, big old mess, and you don't want to sneeze there, that's for sure. If you did, you probably should just kiss off the rest of the day because you're going to be real, real high. I imagine you have to wear masks to do that too. I don't know how heroin operations work, but I do know 86 pounds, that's a lot. That is a lot. Now, that might have been a massive drug bust, but what is a massive success here on AWSM Radio is the Rock Sessions, is the drive time show we have here, making sure your evening commute is home, featuring the hottest music on the charts and some other surprises in between. She will make it rock style, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. right here on AWSM Radio. And I'll tell you what, my friends, my pal rocks. She's great. The show is great. If you haven't listened to her show, you're a fool, I tell you, because she does make the evening commute home very enjoyable, especially stuck in traffic. It's great music, offers a little some tidbits of news and whatnot. She's a great person. She's my pal. You should listen to her show, again, on AWSM Radio, Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Next, folks, we go to food and business. Mr. Peanut and Spam, two of my somewhat favorite snacks. What do they have in common other than long brand recognition? Well, they soon are going to be owned by the same people. Kraft Heinz, which owns Mr. Peanut, is going to be selling their nut business to the spam maker Hormel for $3.35 billion, with a B, $billion. The business, which includes most Planters products and Corn Nuts brand, generated $1.1 billion to Kraft Heinz in 2020. However, CEO Miguel Patrico, he said that the sale of this company allows them to focus on other snack brands like Lunchables and P3, which you have probably seen in your grocery store. But now Spam and Mr. Peanut will be joining forces. I don't know if there'll be a Mr. Spam. If there needs to be a Mr. Spam, I am available, my fine friends at Hormel. I could be a Spam spokesman. I think I'd be great. I have all these pockets on my vest. I could have cans of Spam in there, and I would just bring it out. Boom, sales record. Pretty simple. Finally today, folks, some good news. Tessica Brown. You may not know her by name, but she's the Gorilla Glue girl, where she used Gorilla Glue to hold her hair in place after she ran out of hairspray. Fun fact, Gorilla Glue, not for that purpose. It got stuck to her head. Like, she could not get it out of her head. It just doesn't break down. It's meant to be permanent. She went to the hospital, and the sort of wipes they would use to sort of break this down burnt her scalp, so she couldn't do anything about it. She would have a permanent head of glued hair. Well, fortunately, plastic surgeon in California, Michael Ubeng, did a 3-hour procedure to remove the glue from her hair and her scalp, so not to damage her scalp and skin and, make her hurt her hair. Took about 3 hours. He did it for free out of compassion. Otherwise, the surgery would have been like $12,000. It's not a cheap thing. She's probably taking 3 to 4 months to recover from the surgery, but the ordeal is finally over. I mean, she was beside herself in tears. Like, the hair, she just had, it's like her hair was full of glue and it was never coming out. That glue does not, they call it Gorilla Glue for a reason. It doesn't break down. It's just there forever. And, she was afraid that your hair would never grow again. It would fall out and cause some medical issues. But fortunately, had surgery, plastic surgery, got out. She'll be fine. She'll be okay. So a happy ending to a unfortunate Gorilla Glue mishap. Well, my friends, that just about wraps up this Valentine's Day edition of the Saturday Report with, me, Colt Sebastian Taylor. And thank you so much for joining me here today. And remember, you can find me on the Twitter, on the Rizzle, on the Instagram at Colt S. Taylor, maybe even Bumble. We'll see what happens. And feel free to engage with me there. Let me know what you think about the show. If you enjoyed yourself, is there a news story I missed? I always enjoy getting feedback and whatnot. And, of course, my friends, if you haven't already, bookmark ColtSebastianTaylor.com. Check out all of my new adventures, what I'm up to, places I like to go. You should visit, not every day, but, every other day. Just say hello. So, my friends, until next time, I am, of course, as always, as I will ever be, your friend, with or without benefits, Colt Sebastian Taylor, and I'll see you later.